Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today, we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, but we are also going to be talking about the global asset class valued at $1 quadrillion plus. This is the largest asset class. It's called the derivatives market, for anybody out there that wasn't aware. And this is the market that everyone has talked about for so long, in regards to all of the money. We're going to be talking about why this is going to essentially be morphing into the blockchain space. We've talked about DLT being the key for many major industries and also sectors around the world. This one is definitely one to watch for. And why is that? Well, let's look into it. So this is an article that got posted back in 2020, July 10th of 2020 to be specific, by Johnny Fry. Now, Johnny Fry actually uploaded a 2-minute long video talking about this asset class and how blockchain technology is impacting it. Now, I have the video open over here. This is about 2 minutes and 10 seconds long. Listen closely to this, and then we will talk about Ripple and XRP's major opportunity within this market.
Johnny, I know the equity and bond markets are huge, but what's going on in the derivatives markets?
The biggest asset class in the world is the derivative market, with some estimates saying it's 1 quadrillion, that's a lot of noughts, in size. And basically, you can either buy a bond or an equity or a commodity, or you can buy a synthetic exposure, a different way to get exposure to that asset. And that's essentially what derivatives are. And it's interesting that there's a company called Clearmatics who was set up in 2015, and that's been the company that's been selected by Finality, which has been working on a series of stable coins with different central banks. So there's 5 different versions they've been looking at: the Canadian dollar, the pound sterling, the yen, the euro, and the US dollar. And Finality was previously called the universal stable coin. And it's really been looked at how it can be used in the wholesale market, and a work that the Bank of International Settlements have actually been doing. It's built on the Ethereum blockchain, and it raised 62 million from 14 different banks. So it's very, very well funded, and it's really a way that blockchain technology is being used sort of in the plumbing, behind the scenes. And what they're hoping is that they're going to get the green light either from the Bank of England, the Fed, or potentially the European Central Bank. Because where this is really interesting is that if you look at the derivatives market, which is actually the ISDA, who actually look after the rules and regulations around derivatives, they've actually been embracing smart contracts. So if we actually start seeing stable coins, it means there's a huge opportunity for derivatives to start using blockchain technology and various different digital assets to be able to settle contracts and improve the efficiency of the way margin calls are handled. And that could actually really help the compliance culture in this market, making the market more efficient and driving down costs. And that's something that a regulator and the banks would surely welcome.
And that's where Ripple and XRP comes into play. By the way, you guys are not the only ones asking questions. We do see down here, and this is on Johnny Fry's channel. This got posted back on 2020 as well, July 10th. Very interesting. Do you think Ripple could take part on this global transition to digital money transfer between banks? Yes, although they do need to resolve their current SEC investigation and remove the uncertainty that they face. And I completely agree. I do think that regulations are essentially a major obstacle for success around a lot of these assets, but I want you guys to focus on what he did say around the derivatives market. It's based on settlements. Instant settlement is going to be the biggest key that unlocks this absolute massive giant of a dollar figure amount to really kind of streamline through blockchain technology, crypto technology, whatever you want to call it. And I really do think that this is going to open up a ton of opportunity. Like he said, there's a lot of inefficiencies within this market that are very similar to the traditional market sense around like SWIFT with cross-border payments, high cost fees, the settlement time is extremely, slow. There's a lot of problems that are, plaguing a lot of these major markets, and the derivatives one is no, stranger to that. So when we really kind of look at this, Ripple and XRP will play a vital role in settlement as well as opening the door for other efficiencies to be shined upon. Now, why do I bring this up? Why are we talking about it today? Well, There was this post over here from Judy Shelton on Twitter that was talking about keep an eye on the derivatives market, $600 trillion in notional value, almost all linked to interest rates / currency differentials. Now, if we actually look over here, obviously I'm not going to pay to read this article, but we do see, turmoil in Britain exposes potential risk facing pensions and government bond markets, long-time havens in periods of financial upheaval. And yes, this is essentially talking about the derivatives market, and you should be keeping a close eye on these as well, because these are directly tied to it. Now, a few people actually mentioned Ripple down here as well. They were, I know a company that could help, almost like they knew years in advance this would become an issue. And they do, I would assume that they probably, did know about this issue for a while. And they have been working towards this specifically around like a liquidity crisis as well, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, there's a liquidity crisis growing globally. I might actually make a video going in depth on that and how Ripple and XRP could essentially solve that. It's not just through on-demand liquidity either, by the way, but there's a lot of issues arising right now within the monetary system. And one of the major ones is the derivatives market. Like, we need to solve a lot of the issues here. Now, like I said, this is essentially a $2.7 quadrillion market. This was a post going all the way back to 2018, by the way, from Stetus over on Twitter. And this is really kind of the scope of where XRP is positioned. So I know that this says a $600 trillion, notional value. That's what the BIS has put the value at. Nobody really knows where this market's actually valued at. It has been valued at 600 trillion, 1 trillion, 2 quadrillion, 2.7, but this is essentially all of the money. And when we look at here, you can kind of see the value compared to even like the Nostro Vostro accounts, which I do think that we should focus on some of these, other major valuations first, and then kind of go to the full-on global transfer markets. Ultimately, everyone's goal here to really kind of go after this $2.7 quadrillion market is by having XRP as the bridge currency between all banks to solve all of the efficiency or inefficiencies around the derivatives market, and ultimately become the safe haven for banks to transact over the XRP rail. Now, is that going to work fully? Is it going to be realistic? Some can argue that it's not going to. Some can argue that it will. Honestly, I don't think anyone knows. At the end of the day, we don't know what's going to be the next major plan of action. Do I think that XRP will play a vital role in almost any and all of these markets? Yeah, 100%. I think that, with what Ripple is trying to solve with XRP, it's a very lucrative area to be an investor into, not only XRP, but if Ripple does IPO, I'm 100% taking a large position in Ripple as well, because I think that the power here that is being unlocked from Ripple, utilizing XRP as well in regards to a lot of their payment processing projects as well as tech stack, is very substantial. And it doesn't stop there, by the way. When we really kind of look at what's happening around DLT with derivatives, which is kind of centered on, the XRP ledger, if we're really kind of looking at, it's very interesting because, like, going all the way back to 2019, May 23rd, 2019, we did see DLT being kind of touted as being utilized for derivatives. We just made a video the other day talking about Molly Elmore actually talking about derivatives and how they could essentially 1000x the crypto value. I think that is the case. Ultimately, if you think about it, if all of that money is going to pour into, crypto, or I should say, if it's going to be tokenized and moved over, DLT or even just blockchain technology in general, then the value of XRP, the value of all of these major tokens, and the value of crypto itself is going to rise drastically. Now, why do I think that this is going to happen? Why do I think that, XRP will play a vital role? Well, it's because it's centered on settlement. For example, while it's early in the rollout of many blockchain use cases, there are immediate opportunities for the use of DLT in the derivatives market. Near the top of the list is management and settlement of collateral, a multi-billion-dollar headache for the world's largest banks. Now, think about that, right? This is the world's largest banks, and this is a large, dollar figure headache for them to solve: management and settlement. Now, the reason why I bring these two areas up is if you actually go over to Ripple's website, most of, if not all of their tech provided tools specifically around settlement is also centered around management, making it as easy as possible for these major financial institutions and banking clients to not only manage all their assets, but also to settle utilizing XRP for near instant settlement. This is solving the root issue around this massive market. And we do see the root cause, the frequent need to overly pre-fund margin requirements for the positions that banks hold at clearinghouses and at custody banks on behalf of themselves and their clients. Remember, pre-funded accounts is the biggest problem around a lot of these major areas. What Ripple has solved here is very, very diverse, because it's eliminating any sort of pre-funding. This is why XRP is always touted as being like the one size fits all for all of the money. Now, I'm not going to write anything off, and I'm not going to tell you guys that XRP is going to be utilized for all of the money, and $2.7 quadrillion is going to be flooded over XRP, and XRP is going to be valued at 10,000, 30,000, 50,000, whatever per token, because I just don't care to do that. I don't think that we should be looking at it from a maxi mentality either. I think that this market itself could benefit greatly for being a major source for the derivatives market because of the value proposition here, as well as all of the major high tier names tied to it. Now, and by the way, every single bank has these similar challenges. Like, even while every bank has a similar challenge, payments are slow and expensive. Each one has a slightly different manifestation of the problem. So when we look at this, right, DLT could solve a lot of the major inefficiencies around this. In fact, there's a lot of issues around slow settlement, hard cutoff times, data asymmetry, and trust boundary problems that private ledgers can create. But if you actually look at some of these DLTs, like for example the XRP ledger, and if you utilize XRP, you can actually unlock a ton of opportunity and also the potential for something like this in regards to this market. The value proposition for it is limitless. This is also why I've said, like, the value of XRP essentially is limitless. We don't know what the value of XRP could be. I don't really, we could easily put a $100 figure amount on XRP. We could say, all right, XRP is going to be worth $100. And even if you wanted to play into the prophecy around XRP going to $589, you could also do that as well. But at the end of the day, I will say this. There's a few things that need to align perfectly for not only XRP, but also other major DLTs to be utilized in a market like this. One, you need interoperability, which you could argue that Quant has solved, right? But you also need full-on adoption of DLT, because at the end of the day, there's going to be so much money and transactional flow across all these DLTs, so you need all of them to be connected through interoperability, which, like I said, Quant has essentially solved. The reason why I bring that up is because we even do see that, being a focus point here. First off, over here, already this year, we've seen banks announcing hundreds of billions of transactional flow across multiple asset classes using this technology, and what's been announced to date is just the tip of the iceberg. DLT facilitates information sharing and collaboration between market participants to remove friction and deliver post-trade efficiencies. In the case of the margin issues that pre-funding presents, DLT can enable on-demand processing of derivatives positions. But what makes DLT so powerful in this case is how it is addresses the need for collaboration between institutions to move collateral from point A to B, including all the hops, approvals, counterparty rules, etc. Equally important, DLT makes it possible to manage collateral and cash movements in real time, which reduces the demand for pre-funding. Hence, XRP. This is why I've always said, like, with anything, I mean, you can look at any market, you can look at any sort of major sector, industry, whatever, everything will be ultimately disrupted by DLT and crypto. I think that this is just the beginning. I think that everything will essentially move at a rapid pace once we do see regulations kind of being ushered in as well. This is also why I said, like, that is a key that unlocks the floodgates around markets like the derivatives market. And they even say, like, tokenization could prove to be useful as well. It's probably not needed to solve today's large problems in the financial industry. DLT, however, can be used today to integrate and also interoperate with existing systems, custody banks, exchanges, and internal systems. This is why this is such a huge opportunity. There's going to be billions on top of billions of transactions that flow on a daily basis. I mean, again, going back to this image, Swift just by themselves, which is 25% of the global banking and financial institutional grade sector, does about $5 trillion per day. That is a massive opportunity if you think about, blockchain disrupting that core. And we just recently seen Swift announce that they want to utilize blockchain technology, or DLT, I should say. So this is a huge area. DLT, I will say this, DLT is going to provide a massive opportunity in this area. It's a no-brainer move. But you might be wondering, okay, well, what if they don't want to utilize blockchain? So we do see, isn't DLT the same as blockchain? Fortunately, for many use cases, no, blockchain is a type of DLT, but there are several important distinctions. And yes, there is. Blockchain is not the same as DLT. DLT is not the same as, blockchain. In certain cases, yeah, this is kind of different. There's multiple other major DLTs out there, for example, like Hedera. Hedera is not blockchain technology. But again, this is why we focus on the DLTs in this space that are extremely efficient. DLT itself is going to be the future around this entire space. And again, a lot of it is centered on crypto at the end of the day. So I do believe that $2.7 quadrillion is going to move fast into this market. And I actually have this full-on PDF file over here. I think that there's only a few slides. There's only 12 slides in this, and it does say OTC derivatives and DLT. This is from Bearing Point. I think that this was an earlier PDF file. I forgot what the date on this one was. But this really kind of talks about DLT in regards to settlement, in regards to tokenization, all the type of stuff that we really kind of want to talk about. I can give you guys a summarization here. So it is very much possible that capital markets, including derivatives market, will adopt a decentralized structure. Ledgers can decrease data inconsistencies and communication errors due to technology issues. Transaction costs will decrease. DLT could make workforce of regulatory authorities or central clearinghouses obsolete. Regulators could directly access trading information in shared platforms instead of requesting it laboriously. Systemic and specific risk could be detected earlier. This also solves the 2008 crisis because of transparency. This is also a massive advantage in regards to really kind of being transparent on every single nature around transactional flows, liquidity. It essentially solves the liquidity crisis globally as well. This is why DLT is such a big area. And we actually do see over here, clearing and settlement is a huge area of focus in regards to the entire process. This is why I say focus on the DLTs that are really kind of centered on these major opportunities within this market. XRP, though, is ahead of the game because what Ripple has solved with XRP around on-demand liquidity fixes nearly every single issue in regards to all of these major markets. And it really is something special when you look at it on paper from these massive giants talking about these major opportunities. It is something incredible to say the least. And we actually do see up here statements and comments. DLT could enhance derivatives processing systems in terms of interoperability to clear and settle derivatives transactions, calls for a variety of manual action. So when you have DLT that could essentially automate this entire process, that's also a big game changer that could save a ton of time, money. I mean, the entire system will lose all of its inefficiencies and will be extremely efficient off of DLT. This is why I try to talk about DLT as much as possible, because they even do have a comparison here. So here's the current landscape: centralized system, decentralized system utilizing DLT. Interoperability increasing, standardization increasing, and then validation processing. Again, this really kind of goes in depth on how you cut out all the intermediaries. This is the trading community. Settlement, T2, securities transactions, reduced settlement period possible. And then instantaneous through DLT decentralized systems. Netting, yes, no. According to regulatory requirements, this is collateral. We do see over here increased demand for collateralized assets, high number of collateral transactions. So at the end of the day, DLT, I mean, it could diminish to almost zero, what makes netting processing or processes impossible. This is why DLT is the number one choice around a lot of these major markets, including the derivatives. This is why I say $2.7 quadrillion is on its way. And it's like I said, at first it will start small. You'll see it trickling down into blockchain and DLT based systems, and then all at once it will flood in. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. It's been Nick. Peace out, guys.